Deep Fried Thoughts, it's the best podcast. Deep Fried Thoughts. Don't worry, we're working on a better intro. All right, so welcome, guys.
Awesome, thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So for those of you guys listening that, were in here a few minutes ago, we got some time to hang out and talk, and I actually set up a mat upstairs, and I actually pinned one of the guys, and if you can answer that correctly, you win a prize at the end. But we're not going to tell you. No, I didn't. It was crazy. I see you guys, and I've seen you guys since you were very young. I don't even know how old you guys were when we first met, hanging out with your dad and stuff. But every time I see you guys, it's like I forget not just how big you guys have got. I mean, because obviously you're men now, but it's like just what you guys have done, just in the work you've put into just your physical bodies is incredible. Like answering the door, I felt so little. If you're listening, you need to go and jump over to YouTube now or Rumble just to get a glimpse of just how out of shape I look on this episode compared to these two. But yeah, no, it's great. So how you guys been?
Yeah, we've been good. I've been good. Grinding at school.
Yeah,
We just finished the semester up, and we're in the middle of wrestling season right now. So I've been on the grind still. So yeah, we're being good though.
I guess with that, it never stops. Like you're home on break. It's not like I get to just cut loose and eat all the cookies or do you do that and you got to work extra hard for it? How's it?
No, for me and obviously for him too. Like we had a schedule coming out of in the break. Like our coach gave us something to work on, and we had 2 workouts a day so far. Like every day we've been home. So
You did 2 today.
Not today. No,
okay.
We'll lift after this. Yeah.
Nice. So what's the training regimen look like during the season?
So for me at Navy, we kind of have a different schedule than typical colleges. We have more of a high school type class schedule, and so because of that, we wake up around 5:30 and get our main practice out of the way in the morning. And then we go to classes, and then we have about an hour and a half at lunch, and that's when we lift. Then go to more classes, and then in the afternoon is kind of free to do homework or get another roll in or another workout. And so the practices are starting to get shorter and harder as the season progresses, and the lifts have changed from kind of being super heavy to being more functional. And so, yeah, that's kind of what it's like there. Usually 2 workouts a day, every week. So, and Hunter can kind of fill you in a little bit more on.
Yeah, I think mine's not as constricted, as Navy, obviously, because we're more of
yeah. And I'm assuming that's because it's more of a structured base. Because that is so. And sorry to cut you off. We'll get back to that. So I've known some people. You're going to the Naval Academy in Annapolis, right?
Yes, sir.
So how is that different in all different ways from college, or is it different from being you are active Navy, right? Or how's that work?
Yeah. So we're technically active duty, but we don't get paid kind of as well as if we were actually in the Navy right now, serving. So it's really just a 4-year college, and a whole bunch of different majors to choose from. And then afterwards, you kind of get your service selection and go where you want to go and start your training there. But yeah, it's definitely different, in that you're taking a lot more classes because you graduate with I think a bachelor's in science. Everybody graduates with a bachelor's in science, so you're taking all those core classes on top of your major. And so with that, there's a little more workload.
And what is your major?
Right now, I'm political science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're all good.
Yeah, I just wanted to get the contrast because I'm sure your college experiences are very different based on where you're going as well.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say I'm a little more. I think my schedule is a little more relaxed than his because we choose our schedules around our training rather than vice versa, where it's classes, then fitting training in. So we have our training schedules, which is mostly 2-a-days like him as well, where we lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning, and then come in the afternoon and wrestle on the mat, and then we'll kind of schedule with our advisors and stuff, just classes in between there. So, but obviously over the break, winter break and stuff, is so nice because we get to like come in later times. I get to sleep in a little bit more. I mean, I don't know about him, but it's nice to sleep in a little. And,
Yeah, I love that. Even a couple minutes.
yeah,
makes it,
definitely.
especially with kids, it's like the weekends. It's just non-existent. They're just in there. Where, it's more alarming when the kids don't wake me up early because I know they're up, and I'm wondering what I'm about to go downstairs and find out, like what they got into.
How many kids do you have?
Just 2 right now.
I didn't even know you had kids. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's all
Congrats.
good. Yeah, I
Nice.
got Thatcher. He's about to be 5 in a few days in January, and then Harley just turned 3 in November.
It's a cool name.
Yeah.
They're both cool names.
Thank you.
Thatcher and
So Thatcher was actually, I didn't like it at first. Now I love it, but I didn't like it because I kept trying to name him Carmen because like that's like the Italian tradition. You name the first son after the father, and I got gypped on that because I got named after my grandfather, which is fine. But like I got gypped on that Italian tradition, so I was like, I'm going to do that with my son. But everybody, I was just getting clowned for it because nothing else about my life is like very Italian. I'm not like a Jersey Shore kind of guy. So like to just all of a sudden when a son is born, it's like, oh, we got to follow this tradition, and all of a sudden,
Oh, I'm Italian now.
yeah, right. We're gonna baptize him in spaghetti sauce. No, so Thatcher is actually Jenny, my wife's maiden name.
Okay.
So she was Jennifer Thatcher. So we named him after her maiden name. Which at first I was like, I don't know, you shouldn't do that for his mother. Because I was thinking like a female to a son, but I don't know. It was just silly. Now I love it. I couldn't imagine being anything else. And then Harley, just because I love Harley. So.
Do you call Thatcher like anything short, or is it just like Thatcher?
It's just Thatcher, yeah. Or he has a million nicknames. Just anything shorter. Bud, like Bud, kid, boy. I don't know if you're playing any video games with God of War. He always calls his son boy. Come here, boy. Sometimes I'll do that, but that's about the extent. But no fun nicknames yet.
Right.
But I'm hoping that Harley becomes like this. Always wanting to wear pink, like very girly girl that wants to go work on Harleys. Like that's how I picture it. You know what I mean? And there's no lack of bikes at this house. There's so many I can barely walk in the garage.
Yeah.
Which if you guys want to buy a bike, I'll give you a good deal. I'm really trying to clear out the garage.
Like a bicycle?
No,
like a bike.
Yeah.
Really?
I
mean, we
so
walked
many.
in the house and there was like 2 like little bikes in there.
Oh,
already.
so we had we like I told you we did Christmas yesterday. That's a balance. It's an electric bike called a Stasic. So they're like legit little dirt bikes made for like off roading, and they go fast.
Really?
And like they have throttle control, like 3 different settings. And Thatcher, we gave him one like a year or 2 ago, and after like the first couple days, he's like, I want to go to the fastest setting, and he was flying. I mean, he's all fully geared up, like the full face helmet, and just flying around. So. The little one was Thatcher's old bike. I put like a sticker kit on it to make it like pink and girly. And then we got Thatcher like the new 16-inch. I'm a little curious to see how it's going to be because that thing goes a lot faster. I think their like medium speed was the fastest speed on the other one or maybe the lowest. But yeah, I wish I had stuff like that when I was a little kid, man. It's awesome.
Sick.
I'm hopefully they're more responsible than I was when I first got on a bike because of the experience they had. Yeah. I wrecked a lot, to be honest. But anyway, to get back to training and all. So for me and my understanding outside of the snooping I did on you boys beforehand, it was like, I remember your dad was just like, the boys are into wrestling. I'm going to convert the upstairs of the garage into like this gym. And I just remember I really wasn't paying much attention to it. And then I started hearing things and like the training that was going on. How long were you guys wrestling before that? Was that like, was your dad just like, cool, I've been waiting for this day. As soon as he signed up, he started that, or was there some time between?
I mean, Hunter started his 6th grade year. I started my 6th grade year. So a year after him. And it was kind of new to both of us. I think our dad was a little hesitant because we had like close family friends that wanted us to get into wrestling, but he was a little unsure. But once we started getting into it, and the first couple of years, it was just kind of like a learning phase, and then we started really like setting goals and wanting to be good, and so that's when we started getting serious about training, and that's when he put that gym up in the garage.
And it wasn't just you guys training up there, right? Was it the whole team?
Not the whole team, but we had a club, a lab trained wrestling club, and It was coached by Greg Hagel, and he used to coach at Haverford, and he would come and work with us, and we'd have a couple other guys in and around the district, and like the guys who were serious about what they were doing, and so we'd all go up there and stuff. But yeah, I think it was a couple of years after we got into wrestling that my dad was like, all right, these guys are kind of into this, and so he kind of obviously like we love him for it because it made us who we are right now, but he put a lot of time and effort into us and our growth like through that, and it was really cool. But,
Yeah, I was curious about that, like your dad's, involvement in this, and like, do you think you guys would be here today without him? And I mean, what kind of difference did that really make?
No, absolutely not. I think just like all the tournaments that he's driven us to, and all the time he's gone out of the way to get things for us, or to build up that garage to what it was, and just spend the money that he might have not even really had, just for us to get better. It was really special, and we definitely thank him for it, and yeah, we definitely wouldn't be, I'd say, where we are today.
Because I'd have to imagine too, like it wasn't just in that moment. Like you don't just flip a switch and you're just like this determined, group of guys. It's I'd imagine there was a lot in your upbringing too. Like was your dad always pushing you like to be like as disciplined as you are now today, and you were able to transfer it over, or was that like a big learning curve, starting when you guys were getting serious with wrestling?
yeah, I think we grew up working outside a lot. Like we had a wood burning stove back in our old house in the basement, and so we'd have to chop wood just to keep the house warm. My dad would always say like, hey, like you guys gotta go chop wood today, and like obviously some days we didn't want to do it, but he'd make us. And so I think that kind of like started our work ethic, is like, all right, well, we got to go do this because he's making us, also we need to heat the house and stuff. But yeah, I think just going back to like, it's a different type of like work ethic, I think, because like on one end he's pushing us to do this, splitting the wood and stuff, and then when it came to wrestling, he would provide all these opportunities and this stuff, and it was kind of on us to, because he didn't wrestle, obviously he didn't know really what he was doing in that sense, but he provided everything we needed, and that was kind of like, all right, let's go like work so we can kind of make it up to him almost in a sense. But I don't know, I think that determination and drive came from like what we've came like growing up, like you said, like just splitting wood every day, right? Like it would be a grind, and like we'd hated it, but like, dang, if we can do this, we can do anything, So.
That's not easy work too, and I definitely benefited from it. You guys kept my house warm one winter.
Yeah.
It was funny that happened right after your dad dropped a bunch of wood off, and you guys were young at the time doing that. And he goes, "Oh, pay me later," because I wasn't around. And I ended up getting like a bad knee injury, and I was out of work for months. I was like, oh, I was like, these boys are gonna hate me for not paying. I was like, I literally have no cash. I felt so bad. I don't even know if your dad ever told you or just gave it to you, but it was like 3 months later. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Here you go. Yeah, I was down for the count for a while. No, thank you. It's just formal apology to both of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of stuff from back then, honestly. My memory's pretty bad.
It's been eating on me for years. So just thank you for letting me get that off my chest. No, I just...
We'll talk about it later.
All right. Oh, darn. Yeah, so the reason I was bringing that up, I know today, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody or anything like that, like there is like this, I would even call it like an epidemic of like laziness with children, where parents just, I don't know if it's because they're too busy, because you got mom and dad both working to like pay the bills, or, because we feel like we need all these different things and whatever that's a whole nother subject matter. But I know for me, when I was younger, like I grew up with a single mom, and Nintendo was my babysitter, or like, a lot of the like indoor things. I mean, I went out and I did a lot of things, but I was never really pushed physically to do things. Like I remember my mom would be like, oh, you should go do this. But like for a kid that's overweight at like 12 years old that could just sit inside and play Mario and eat like snacks, why would I want to go work out? It's like I didn't have like a male figure to like push me into that. And that's not to say anything negative to single moms out there. But there is like a contrast that I think young men need. Just like young girls need like that female role model. But But I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think it was easy for you guys to have fallen out of that quickly? Like after all those years, if your dad was just like, hey, cool, like go do whatever you want. Like, do you think that what was instilled into you in a young age, and I'm asking you also as a father, curious about my own kids, the discipline and the work ethic that was instilled into you in a young age, do you think that when it came time to apply that with wrestling and training and whatever else in life, do you think it would have been easy for you to slip into just that lazy lifestyle if you were allowed, or was there something that just was burning in you where you just had to feel that drive? Like when does it go from being forced to like you feel a need to? I'm sure you guys would feel weird if you didn't work out every day. Like it's like a drive now, right? Am I wrong?
No, that's 100%.
So where's that switch happen? Because I know a lot of people, including myself, would be very curious about that.
I mean, I'll say, like for me, my story, I got into wrestling and my dad would have to kind of drag me to some practices because I was like, man, I suck. I can't hang with these guys. I'm definitely better for him dragging me to those practices. But I think having those lessons instilled at a young age definitely helped. It definitely could have been easy to just kind of be like, all right, no one's really pushing me anymore. I don't really have to do this. And that could have been easy to say, but like our dad, he didn't really push us in wrestling that much once we started like picking up. He was like, all right, you guys take this where you need because you guys know what you need to do. And so that flip kind of switched. I'd say it was definitely different for the both of us. For me, I'd say towards my eighth grade year, I was like, all right, this is what I want to do, and no one's going to stop me from doing it. So you just got to make your goals and just get to it. I'm sure Hunter definitely has a better story.
I mean, yeah, I think he obviously, like, in the wrestling world, he kind of almost passed, like, the baton over to Hagel, which is our club coach, and he kind of, like, wasn't involved in the wrestling, like, in the workout aspect, but he would obviously provide all the opportunities to do whatever we needed. So I think right now, like you asked if, like, that drive we had from chopping wood, all this stuff we did growing up, whatever, like, switch in our heads if he, like, was kind of, like, off of us and stuff. And I think the clear answer is no, because he kind of did kind of back off in high school when we had our own goals and all this stuff. And all that drive never left. It never left me. I don't think it'll ever leave me. I don't think it'll ever leave Ryan. But yeah, we can only be grateful for, like, what he's done for us, and obviously both of our parents. So yeah, I think for you and with your kids and stuff, just, like, don't, like, push them too hard early with, like, if, like, they're getting into sports and stuff. Because I know if my dad, like, if I was younger and, like, he would push me into sports and stuff, like, it would be kind of exhausting a little bit. I see a lot of guys just, like, hate the sport because their dads are just so hard on them. So I think just, like, obviously disciplining them in a way that's, like, all right, you can, like, give them things to do and, like, kind of get that, like, work mindset a little bit. And then
it's good. It's balance to it.
Balance to it, for sure.
So it's funny you say it because I'm not a big sports guy. Mm-hmm. Like I really enjoy hockey. I love going to Flyers games, watching the Flyers. But I mean, if the Flyers don't win the Stanley Cup, this year or next year or whatever, I'm okay. I go on with my life. I don't even, shed a tear. It's fine. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not like ingrained in it that much, but I really enjoy the sport. So when I was thinking about, like, my kids, like, my big thing is, like, I want them to be into, like, motorcycles and things, like, so I want to teach them what I'm learning, and, like, I want to get into hunting to hand them, down that baton and, like, say, I want to grab my son and be like, hey, get your rifle, we're going hunting, and it to be a normal thing for him. But the thing I like trying to find a good balance for is the electric dirt bikes. So I got them because they can ride everywhere, and it's not like neighbors aren't going to call the police. But eventually I'd like to get them real dirt bikes, and I'd like them, if they want to race, I want to get into that, or if they want to compete in anything, or just, even if they just want to go, like, I definitely want to push them a little bit to do that, because I think that's a really fun competitive thing. It's also dangerous, which is why I started them so young. I mean, Thatcher was like 2 years old when I got him a balance bike, and then moved him very quickly over to a motorized one. And he's already a better rider than I probably was at 18 or 17, getting my first bike. But yeah, there's like a balance because it's like if I keep pushing him that, I don't want him to hate something that I'm only introducing him because I have such a love for it. And I want him to see like what I see in it. Like, just like if my wife wants to show me the beauty in something, if she shoved it down my throat, I'm going to look at that beautiful thing and I'm going to resent it. So it's like, I want him to not resent it, but I also want to make sure like I push him enough to not be lazy. Like, I don't want him to fall in a lot of the same traps I'm in. Like, for me, I've had, like, for my whole life, and I can't believe anybody but myself, really, regardless of upbringing, is that I'll like, be like, oh, I want to start this. I want to do this. And I'll do it for a little bit, and that drive just drops. That's why I was asking you guys, like, what was the factor? Like, did you guys keep getting pushed until now it's a routine? Or was there, like you were saying, no, there was like a moment in high school when you were like, all right, this is what I got to do. I want this, so this is what it takes to get it. Where you took that into your own hands. Whereas for me, I'm 35 years old and I'm still trying to figure that out in some aspects. And it's like, even if it's too late for me, to a degree, I mean, obviously I can definitely better myself and treat myself better physically or when I'm eating or anyway, but I want to learn as much as I can to make it better for my son. That's all you can ask for as a father is like, I want my kids to have it better than I did,
Right.
even if it's a little step better or something, you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's awesome. But yeah, I was just curious that you had mentioned something, Ryan, about getting pushed to go to practices and not feeling good enough. I'm sure looking back, that probably seems a little silly, but maybe not. Maybe you needed that to help keep pushing you. So I guess you guys are not like, do you feel that now? Like, do you still have like a confidence when you're going in there? Like, are you like, I'm going to demolish this. I'm going to, I've been training for this, or is it like a humbled way of going in? Like, what's the mentality before a match?
Before a match, I'd say, kind of like what our club coach, Greg Hagel, always says, just be confident in your training and go out there and perform. And so like, I definitely get some nerves before my matches, but they're good nerves. Like I'm not like looking at a guy who's bigger than me or might be stronger than me. I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna lose. I don't ever say that. I always strive to be the hardest worker in the room and just push myself as hard as I can every day. So that when it comes time for these matches that I might be the underdog in a lot of them, then I'm like, all right, I've trained harder than this guy. I can go out there and beat him. And so, yeah, it's definitely like being pushed to go to those rooms where I would like getting my crap kicked in. Like it was better for me in the long run, especially just getting beat up by Hunter every day in high school. Just it made me better.
Cool.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I think going off of that, like knowing that you work hard is like a huge just mental confidence thing. It's like you knowing that you're like working as hard as you can, doing everything you possibly can on the backside, like in the wrestling room. Before your matches, you can, confidently say, I've done everything I can to go out here and win. So it's like, it's just the biggest confidence thing is knowing that on the back end, you're doing everything you can. So I think that's something that Hagel instilled into us. And kind of going back to that old, what you were talking about before, I think habit is just a big thing for like, as a dad, like setting like habits like for your kids a little bit almost like with Hagel, like habits were like the biggest thing. Even little small disciplines every day, it's like the biggest thing. And it, kind of is still just instilled in both of our heads probably like to this day. But yeah, I think just before matches, like I'm not extremely nervous usually ever, but I do get butterflies obviously, and just want to stay calm and just like stay confident, prepared, and I know I've done everything I can to go out there and win. So.
Yeah, I guess, everything you're preparing for is for that moment. So when you go in there, it's not, because, I can only imagine from my standpoint, which, if I, when you guys walked in the door, like towering over me, it's like to be standing there ready to like throw down with one of his, obviously I haven't been been through the training. So I guess that makes sense that like everything you're putting into it, it's like, all right, this is what I've been working for. This is why I've been not eating. This is why I've been, or not eating that junk food. This is why I've been working out. This is why I've been whatever. saying no to all these things is for that moment. I am curious, actually, something I just mentioned. Looking back, I'm sure this took like a lot of your life. Took a lot of high school life, took a lot of social life, even what social life would look like in college. Like, I'm sure it would be a lot different if you guys weren't doing what you're doing. Do you feel like you missed out on anything, like in your youth or now? Do you ever wonder about that?
I mean, I definitely say my social life in high school was not existent almost. Like, I had almost zero friends from my high school. And for me, it was just like trying to find like-minded people who also like to work hard and like kind of don't give into that like lazy lifestyle. And I found that just in the wrestling community. That's where all my friends came from. So we've never really been like partiers or kind of going down that path. And so I'd say we're definitely better for it. Just kind of not having that distraction early on. And I mean, yeah, we missed out on some dances or like some high school things and some free time. But it's what we love to do. And so I think that really makes up for it.
That's awesome. You feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good answer. It's kind of what I expect. I was just curious because a lot of times we can look back on life and you can regret things or wonder what if or whatever, and a lot of times those ideas can creep in your mind. But dude, I don't know. Some people might have loved high school. For me, I was like the no I had no friends in high school. I was like I would have loved to have been pushed into something that gave me purpose at a young age because what I thought I was like going after with like the social life, like what I always strived for, like when I got it after high school and like had that big group of friends and was like partying, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie about it or even say even like some of the illegal things I was doing or anything. Like it all had its aspect of fun. That's why I did it. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't have been doing it. But I look back and it's like, it's such a waste. Like I wish so badly that like youth, you always hear the older people saying like, oh, if I knew what I knew now back then, like I would have done things different. Or you got an adult trying to tell a kid, hey, like don't waste your time on this or that. It's like that kid doesn't want to hear that. It's like we're ingrained to want to like learn the hard way. It's like, no, we got to do our own path. And it's like, well, you're walking down the same path that person who told you that probably walked down and why they're trying to warn you. But no, I think that's awesome. Because I think a lot of the things like the discipline issues that people have, starts early on. It's kind of like, they say like the first 3 years of a kid's life is where you're going to develop a lot of their personality. And it's like, I'm so like hyper aware of that with my own kids of like, all right, we've gone through the 3 years. A lot of their personality's probably been developed. I don't know how true all that is, but it's still in my mind of like what sponges they are and what I want to instill in them now to help them throughout their lives. And I so badly don't want them to look back and think, oh, I missed out on this or I missed out on that or regret things because in the end, it's such a massive waste. I mean, it's cool, but at the time, but there's like nothing to bring forward from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's good memories to be had in some of those areas, but like if like for me and Ryan, like we had a purpose and we had goals. And so I think those things, those parties, those like experiences that honestly I didn't even want to go to. I was just like, there's like, I don't know. I just like felt like I don't even want to go hang out with like people right now. Like I'm going to go sleep. I'm going to go get my 8 hours or 9 hours or whatever so I can work out in the morning. It's just like a weird mindset because it's like, all right, we're high school kids and like nobody thinks like that. It's weird. Like
no, that's why I asked. It's not a normal way to think at that age.
I don't even know because like, I never even wanted to like, until my senior year of high school, I never wanted to hang out with like kids doing degen things. Like I just didn't want to do it. And I was like, and then my senior year, I kind of like, I went to like a few parties and I'm like, dude, this is so stupid. Like this is so dumb. Like I'm not getting anything out of this. Only bad things could happen right now. Like so I don't know. Yeah, me and Ryan was my best friend like coming up through high school and stuff. So like hanging out with him and just like, I don't know. It's just, you can do funner things. And like, especially when it like pushes you towards your goals, like, I don't know, playing games in the backyard, spike ball, this stuff, like we're getting cardio out of it.
Yeah,
We don't need to drink and smoke, all this other stuff that kids thought were fun. And I mean, I don't know. That's just me. And I think it just seemed like a waste. I just didn't even want to do it. So yeah.
A lot of it is a waste.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, if I'm talking about your high school life, if you're listening right now, and it's like, oh, that was everything I looked forward to. Sorry, I think it was a waste.
I'm not even sorry. Like, you just stop doing it. Like, it doesn't. You have college and stuff. Like, you can go explore, but like in high school is where like you gotta like kind of build a name almost and like work hard to get to college. Like, you're not gonna get to college if you're like just wasting time. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta start working. And it's not even. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be obviously mental stuff. Like, go read a book. Go read a book.
That's funny. I remember like in high school, like all these people that I like wanted to be, and I was like so jealous of. Come senior year, I mean, I had nothing going for me, but a lot of them didn't either. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look back at some of them now, like, because you could creep on Facebook. Yeah. And I'm not trying to badmouth it's not like I have pity on them or anything. Like, they're living their life, but I'm looking at them. I'm like, thank goodness I didn't end up like that. Yeah. Like, that's what I was going after. Like, that's what I wanted. Like, it's just crazy. You don't really know what you want as a young person. So for you guys to have wanted something that is so beneficial now in your adult life and is going to follow with you for the rest of your life, I think it's awesome. Because one of the things I went through recently was, I don't know if it's midlife. Maybe, with my health, 35 is midlife. But I don't know. I went through this thing where I was like, man, death is coming. It's going to happen. Wait, you have one life. Like, you can't. And I remember Adam, we were on a podcast here, and it was like a couple days into thinking like this, and I was like not having like a mental breakdown, but we were like live recording, and I was like literally trying to work it out in the room talking. And I was like, listen, I don't get it. Like, if I want to change course, like, is it too late? Do I do it now? Like, do I want to change course? Like, where's my life going to go if I keep on this trajectory? But I guess the thing was, like, I had to really just sit down and look at everything I'm doing and be confident in my decisions, be confident in where I'm heading, be confident as a father. And confidence was really like the big thing. So I think that's really important to have, because obviously life is going to go on beyond wrestling. Have you guys thought about, anything? I mean, fighting beyond this, or what's your thoughts, after college?
Yeah, I mean, the UFC would be pretty cool, but we literally just went to like a UFC practice. It was it was a wrestling practice, but it was for like jiu-jitsu and fighters and stuff, and we realized like our bodies, I don't think, can handle that. Like, our knees and shoulders and stuff, we're just old men at this point, and it might be genetics and with the sport, but. I don't know if fighting is in my future.
Like,
at
we were
least.
saying yesterday, like, we were there, and we're like, dude, one kick to the knee,
we're done.
Dude, some of those are brutal.
Dude, yeah. You see some of these kicks, and I'm like, dude, like, because I've had 4 knee surgeries, and he's had a few too. Like, I don't know. It could be a possibility, but probably not.
So it's not like a desire for you.
I don't know.
Not really.
So what was that? Was that practice like? Was it like UFC guys training like for like ground game or?
Yeah. So our sister's boyfriend just made it into the UFC. Joe Piper, body bags.
Shout out.
Shout out.
I actually was wanting him on here. I haven't made any efforts or strides for that, but anyway.
I'll hook you up.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. And he invited us to his practice. And Fridays are their like wrestling practices, I guess. And so we went to that, of course, just because it's what we're familiar with. And we got into we went into situations like when we're backed up against a cage and how to take them down. So it was definitely a learning experience for us too. Just different styles and just seeing that world. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that's why. I mean, because UFC is like you gotta. I don't know if you have to know wrestling, but it's like you have to have some sort of ground game, some sort of like martial arts. It's like you really have to have like a full because you always see these guys. It's like if he gets him on the ground, he's done. But if you can't get that guy on the ground, it's like you really have to have such a balanced fighting technique. It's incredible what those guys are able to do. Like how versatile their training must be.
Yeah, and they say wrestling is like the having the wrestling base is one of the more important
backgrounds. I'd imagine.
Yeah,
because like the ground is usually where it's going to end up, and that's like the make or break point. But yeah, those kicks, dude. Some of them I'm watching on the side of the knees or on the hips, and I'm like, man, if I got something like even half that much, I'd be like just tapping out, just like I'm good, I'm done. But yeah, and how do you train to take a hit like that? It's not like you can. I mean, certain spots you're getting hit. It's like it's inevitable to have injuries that could last a lifetime. And that's something else I wanted to talk with you guys about. So you mentioned your knees. I know you guys have both had injuries, that affect you with wrestling. Can you guys tell me a little bit about that? Either one of you first. I know you both have
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
stuff.
So my 8th grade year, I had my first knee surgery, and it was just meniscus. But we were kind of new to wrestling a little bit almost, and like we didn't really know that meniscus surgery, shouldn't be repaired if you're a wrestler. So going into that naive, we got my meniscus repaired, and that was just a terrible idea because it was a really long recovery, like 8 months or some 4 months, some long thing, and ended up just re-tearing as soon as I started wrestling again. So we just learned to take it out, just take the meniscus out.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
That I didn't know at all. I was not expecting that answer.
Yeah, no. So that was like the start, and that kind of like set me back. But
So what was the heal time? What did you do all right, so it happened again.
yeah.
So what do you do? Because if you have an 8-month heal time with the surgery, what's it look like recovering by not fixing it?
Yeah, so we didn't fix it, we took it out. They take out the torn part.
Oh, okay.
Take
Gotcha.
it out. And it's literally like 3 or 4 weeks compared to that 8-month recovery, and it's like you just do
Huge difference.
huge. And if we knew this, like especially with like I'm heavier weight, we're both heavyweights, and like that's just not the best like on your knees. Obviously, it's just like if we knew it, we would have done it, but we just didn't know. So yeah, I've had 2 on my left and then 2 on my right, and but yeah, I mean it affects a little bit of my wrestling now, but I've been doing a lot of like knee recovery stuff, and it's fine. Like I make it work, and I just can't wait till like after this is over. I'm like I just see like, I have goals now, and I'm gonna look back on the things that I accomplished, and God willing, and just be like, all right, well I just did this with like 2 busted knees, and it'll be I'll be proud of myself for it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, just a lot of adversity has been with both of us since we were little. So
Nice. We're the bad knee gang over here. I got a jacked up knee myself.
yeah.
I think I'm 6 surgeries deep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my knee is just jacked. They've been trying to get me since I was about 16 to get a knee replacement. But every
Really?
time, yeah. So
What happened initially?
So initially I was playing jailbreak with kids. You know what that is? It's some kind of like tag.
Okay,
I forget all the rules. Anyway,
Yeah.
playing jailbreak with some buddies. And the place I lived in, a lot of the homes were just one level. Like, so they were easy to climb up on the roof. So I was climbing up my buddy's roof and hiding up there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone climbed up like on the air conditioner unit, found me up there. I went to go run and jump off onto the front lawn, and my foot hit the gutter, and I landed on my knee right on the sidewalk. And it hurt really bad. I was like rolling around, and then I got back up and I like shook it off. Like kids do. You just think, all right, I just hurt. And it hurt for a long time, but it was just like I just ignored it. So then, like, I talked about this before. We don't have to go down this too deep, but I grew up in like a very physically abusive childhood. I had gotten in an argument. I was doing whatever, and my mom grabbed a bowling ball, chucked it across the room, and shattered my kneecap, and then left. So I had to like crawl to a phone, trying to call an ambulance. Anyway, she wound up coming back. They take me to the hospital, and they find that my knee was shattered, and then they find this bone that was like fully healed, or not fully healed, but it was healed in like a weird area, and it had like arthritis all built around it. So like, well, your knee's gonna naturally heal, but we need to get that bone out. This is a prior injury. So that's when I was like, oh, that was from the fall. So they go in to take it out. That was successful. Or no, they wanted to reattach it. So they reattach it where it should be, and everything's trying to heal. So I'm trying to heal from the surgery, which was orthoscopic, just 3 little holes, and then healing the break. But it was like, a couple weeks into healing, and I went to a school nurse because I was in so much pain. She looks at my knee, doesn't even tell me. She calls an ambulance. The infection was so bad. I think she called an ambulance or called my mom and had me rushed to the hospital. Within like a couple hours, I was getting prepped for surgery. When I woke up, they told me that the infection was so bad it ate all the way, like it destroyed all the tissue around my knee and between like the joints. So I had nothing left.
Jeez.
It was just bone on bone.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long at all. Like whatever infection it was so aggressive. but they still tried to reattach the bone. Yeah. Then a few months later, the bone didn't attach, and they had to go back in and remove it, and the infection had still done some more damage. So it was just like one thing after another. My knee was just torn. It was like 8 months of like being on a bed. That's actually when I gained most of my weight. I was always a chubby kid, but I was on like all these antipsychotics. When I was a young kid was when pills first started becoming like a big thing to push down kids' throats. It was like, put them on this pill, put them on the, like solve any kind of behavioral issue with like to the degree of like an antipsychotic, which I should have never been on. Mm-hmm. And I was on this one medication called Risperdal, which actually started like developing like fatty tissue around my breast as like a young kid. That's not what you want as a young man. And like I gained 70 pounds. Yeah, that's crazy. For a kid is insane. Yeah. While I'm bedridden and my knees all jacked up. So like that was like the start of all of that. And I was so unmotivated. It took a lot to get me out of that like mindset and to like become a functioning human again after that. But yeah, and I've had, because of that injury, I'm dragging this out so long, but because of that injury, I've had multiple other injuries. And it took me a long time to realize. It was funny. It was a personal trainer that told me this. I was so afraid of getting hurt. I said, listen, I've had so many surgeries. Like everything I do, my knee dislocates. Like I'd be walking and my knee would literally dislocate and pop back in, which if you've ever dislocated anything, popping back in hurts. So when you're just like walking down the street and it's like, you're just in this incredible amount of pain and you can't explain to somebody, oh, my knee dislocated, but it's back in. And it's just like, I can't walk right now. And knowing that the next couple of weeks is just going to be swollen. So I was so afraid. But one of the things the trainer said to me, he's like, listen, a lot of people come in here and they say things like you. Like, I get it. Your knee's probably bad. It might be the worst knee I've ever seen. He's like, but if you continue to baby it, you're giving it nothing to strengthen it. And I was like, that seems so logical. Why didn't nobody ever say this? Everybody's been telling me, don't walk on your knee. Don't work it out too hard. Don't do the treadmill. Don't do the steps. It was like everything was to avoid re-injuring it. And this guy was just like, just build up muscle around it. Mm-hmm. And I got in like some of the best shape of my life working out. I hurt my knee once with him and had to take a little time off. But it was like I knew what he was telling me was working, so like I went back into it. I wish I had stuck with it longer, but I learned a lot. And so like now I don't favor my knee. Like I'm carrying around 50 pounds, well usually like 100 pounds on my shoulder a lot during work. Like just carrying around salt bags up and down multiple flights of steps, and I might do like 1,000 pounds within like 20 minutes. Right. So I know not to favor my bad knee. Mm-hmm. I like, if anything, I want to put more weight on it. Like, I look at it as an opportunity to strengthen it. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't do that, or if I baby it, it's going to go right back into that like weakened position. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's where I'm left now. The last one, I slipped and fell on a wet floor, and it just like, it tore ligaments. The knee was like, it was so crazy. I wish I had the picture to show you. The X-ray, they showed like the X-ray of where my knee was, but my kneecap was like down, down into the side. Like it was just like, I was like, I have no knee. There's no knee there. So they went in and they said it was a salvage job. So that was like the last thing they did on my knee. I didn't know if I was going to be better or worse when I came out, but luckily they got me to a point where now I'm like, I feel like for what I've been through with my knee, the fact that I can even walk, let alone dirt bike riding, all this stuff, like I'm so grateful to God and my surgeons and anything, to do with the knee. But
it makes ours just look.
That's what I was going to say.
It's not though, because at the same time, I'm not having guys like, put pressure and weight and like, because as much as I'm talking about strengthening it, I was watching a lot of wrestling videos before you guys came on or checking it out. And I always look at the knee, or like when I'm watching jiu-jitsu videos or any kind of ground game in UFC, and I could physically feel the pain. Like I'm terrified of like putting my knee in that place. So as much as it might seem worse, what you guys are doing is like, you really are, you have to strengthen it. Whereas me, I just don't want the pain anymore. Mm-hmm. There's definitely like a need for you guys to keep pushing and training. And anyway, but yeah, what about you?
Kind of the same thing, just a little further down the line. My first knee surgery was end of my freshman year. Same meniscus surgery. Don't know why we repaired it. I guess. Oh,
you repaired yours too?
Yeah.
Dude, I thought we learned from mine.
Yeah, I guess the doctor was just very persuasive, very confident. Right when the 6 months hit, I went to the beach with a couple of friends, my dad, and they took us surfing for the first time. And the first wave I got up on it, never surfed before, tore my knee again.
I was doing that too, not even like wrestling.
Yeah, so I hopped up on the board, tore it, jumped off, crawled off the beach. It was very embarrassing. Ruined the trip because it was the first day, first wave, first everything. But yeah, then we just took it out. That was my right knee. And then I think it was my sophomore year, just a year after. I think sprained my LCL and then tore my meniscus again. That would just like keep locking and try to wait the entire season to try to wrestle with it, but it never got better. So that was kind of just a waste of the season. And then that left knee just keeps giving me problems with the MCL, LCL, meniscus. And then most recently, I just pulled my hamstring pretty bad. It was weird because it was like super black and blue, but like they don't think I tore it, but I never got like images for it. So we just hope for the best. And I didn't know how long it would take to recover. I thought it was like a 2-week recovery, but it's really like 6-8 weeks.
Always so much longer.
Always so much.
You got to do it.
Yeah, it was because it just sucks being off the mat and not doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always just like weird little things that just kind of get you and then like kind of take you away from what you're doing. But it's always just how you come back and how you take it mentally.
Well, that's life in general too.
Yeah.
Like for you at least have a path, like, like I have to get back on that. Like a lot of people, I feel like they go through life with no goals, no path, no direction. And it's like you get that distraction, whether it be, something physical or mental. It's almost like you're going down the highway and there's all these billboards, right? And they're all distracting you, trying to pull you off your path. And it's like, it's very easy to veer off and get lost into something. And it's much harder to get back on that highway and like dismiss it and get back on. But if you know where you're going, I feel like that helps with a lot of those distractions because that's never going to stop with life. You know what I mean? Like the rest of your life, it's so funny. I hear so many people, and I'm sure you guys have met people like this too, and I feel bad in a way. I remember all the way back in like middle school or even like just grade school, I remember there was like one kid, and I always think back on him whenever I meet someone like him, but where they're like, every time something bad happens, it's always something along the lines of like, life is out to get them. Like it's always this. It's, every time I get up, it's something's always trying to knock me down. And I used to hear that and I was like, no, it can't be like that. But I'm starting to think that they are actually right. I think life really is like a constant test. Like, I don't care what status you are, what kind of money you have, what kind of position you are in life. I think life is always going to knock you down. And it's like, you can either choose to let it knock you down and be pissed off and be angry, or you could say, all right, well, what am I going to do now? Right. And it took me a long time to realize that, but I think that's life-changing. Like when you get knocked down, again, it's like you can either say, this sucks, or how am I going to get back up? Mm-hmm. And whether you have like a good support system around you or not, like you have to choose to get back up. Otherwise, like it's gonna destroy you, But yeah, it's like that's such a depressing way to live. So that's like one thing I'm sure you guys have, like part of your discipline is that like getting back up and stronger, because those knee injuries, like it's funny. I was almost curious, like even acknowledging this, like with somebody you're going up against, like do they know about your knee injuries? Like when you're training, do you know about some of the people you're going up against? Like do you think like, oh, they have this injury, like I'm going to go after that? Like because some people are dirty like that, or maybe is that a normal thing? Like
I don't know. That's brutal. I feel like
it seems brutal, but I wouldn't put it past people.
No, I wouldn't either. But I don't know if if they watch this podcast, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go after his knees now. But I don't think anybody really knows in college anyway about my knees.
Gotcha. So. I just didn't know how serious something like that would be, or is that like, would you consider that like a disadvantage, or is that pretty common, like to injuries, like within the wrestling community?
Yeah, my coach always says you're never going to be 100%, and no one else you're wrestling is going to be 100%. So,
good point.
Just however you wrestle, just wrestle like you're not going to be 100%. So just push as hard as you can. And one thing my coach kind of instilled in our team recently was this like mindset of not being a victim, only volunteers. And it was a weird statement. I was like, how could this be? It was like, there are no victims in this world. There's only volunteers. The only victims are children who can't like make decisions on their own. I was like, what about like robberies or murders and stuff like that, and we just kept going down this like wormhole of just like these situations. And he's like, yeah, you volunteered to put yourself in that position. You so like in our situation, you volunteered to wrestle, to put your knees in that position, to work your body like that. And so like you're never really a victim to what's coming to you. Mm-hmm. So having that mindset instilled in you, it's definitely changed my mindset for sure. Just like, because the past like 2 months I've been like sick, injured, just off the mat, not being able to do what I want to do. And I kind of had this like, the world's out to
like
get
the
me.
woe
Like,
is me
yeah,
moment.
yeah. And,
It creeps in.
yeah, and then we had this talk, and I was like, wow, this is kind of eye opening for me. And so, just having that like, oh, I'm volunteering to be here, especially at the academy, because like, there's a lot of weird stuff you do there, just like stupid little things to maybe help get your like discipline in line, or just like time management and stuff like that. You're like, oh, why is this happening to me? But like, I volunteered to go to the school. I volunteered to wrestle here, and it's really has been life changing. Just like having that mindset.
And it was your coach that said that?
Yeah,
Smart guy.
Yeah, Kerry Colott. He was a really good wrestler back
That's
in the
awesome.
day, and he's very technical now.
Yeah, it's interesting that the whole victim mentality thing, that's like such a big conversation in culture right now, where everybody is like a victim. It's weird because I think you can create a victim. Like you can create this victim mentality. Like if you keep telling somebody, like you could fill this in the blank of anything politically or just culturally, these different groups of people that are like, you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim. Mm-hmm. That person will believe that. But if you told them like you're capable, you're strong, you're capable. If you told them confidently, like, or built them up just as much as you're trying to build them down or tear them down, like I can't fathom what the world would look like. What kind of people that I'm trying to think of, like people that are big in this world today, like what kind of life-changing individuals we are shutting down because they never had the confidence to even try something. It's sad. Like my son gets down on himself a lot. Like I don't push my son a lot. You know, he's, like I said, he's about to be 5 years old. He's a little guy, but he takes things to such heart. He's so hard on himself. Like if he can't do something, sometimes, I mean, he's gotten to even the point where I see him like punching himself or like getting angry. I'm like, whoa, dude, like sit down. Like, it's okay, buddy. I love you no matter what. I love you whether you could do this or not do this. And the only way you're going to be able to do this is to practice. Like when he first started on his bike, it was like, I can't do this. And I'm like, I know you can't. You just got it. Like, you're not supposed to know. Like, if you keep practicing. So I showed him on YouTube. So, like, anytime you can't do something, I love going to YouTube and showing him, like, professionals. Yeah. This is what you can do. You could do exactly what this person's doing. But this person didn't just wake up and do this. This person practiced all the time. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's why I always want to push him with practicing. Like, if I see him only doing left-hand turns, I'll catch it. I'm like, why aren't you doing right-hand turns? Oh, I'm scared. Like, for whatever reason, it's just, like, something different with the balancing. So, like, all right, well, every 2 left turns, do a 1 right turn. And then I'll see him start doing more right turns. It's like, it's weird to see that, you know? And then I can also take it in for myself. But I know we're getting a little off of the victims, but it's like, depending on the way you approach something or the way you see something, like your perspective will completely change the outcome. Mm-hmm. So like your coach coming in and giving you a perspective that you didn't see before completely changes your trajectory, right?
Yeah.
It's just wild that in today's day and age, like all these adults are doing such a disservice to young people by not like having more people like your coach to push like that. I don't know how we pull out of that other than having more people like yourselves being vocal about this and actually applying it in your life, or like your coach actually not being afraid to say something like that.
And also like, I just think it's easy to play the victim card.
Oh, it's so easy.
And especially just like in today's, like, I hate social media, but like, because I'll like delete the apps, like whatever, but like I always just download it again because I'm bored. But then I see things that just make me so mad, just obviously, like, but anyway, yeah, like I think social media is a big part of that too, because everybody has their own opinions and can just like say whatever they want, kinda, to a degree if you're on, anyway, so they say things and like they get this victim mentality because they're like, oh, these other people are soft and are thinking like this. Why can't I? And it's just such an easy way to like take yourself out of like doing something hard or like working to make yourself better. Like it's just, I'm gonna just take the easy road, and that's just something like you can learn obviously, and you can build habits now, but like if you don't have that when you're little, it's going to be harder for sure. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And the social media thing, I think one of the more dangerous aspects of that as well is this false sense of community. Like kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Like you see like these loud communities seem like they're larger than the actual larger ones, because usually the larger ones, they're not worried about whining on the internet. Yeah. They're living life, and but then you got these other people who aren't living life, don't have like, it's so funny, like you get like the motivational speaker that doesn't have any motivation. You know what I mean? He's trying to teach you all the things that he can't do. Yeah. Not that that's everybody, but I'm sure we've all seen people like that, especially online. Yeah. But it's weird because online you have this thing where you can play the victim card. And it's not to say that life isn't hard or that you don't have a tough situation. I don't want to dismiss anybody's situation, but like there's always a way out. And it's not easy. And some people, their climb out of that situation might be vastly different or vastly more complicated than another person's, but it doesn't mean that climb isn't there. Those steps aren't in place. But one of the points I was trying to make is that online, when you play that card, it's so crazy because in reality, if you were to play that like around people, you'd have people, I would imagine, like more so to encourage you. But online, it's like this loud group will come in and like kind of like swarm over and be like, "No, it's okay. You are a victim. It is," and you have so much support in the negative. Like, I guess I'm trying to say, like, whatever you want to believe or want to say, there will be thousands of people to come and support you, whether it's good or bad. And it's like, just because you have somebody that supports you doesn't mean that they are supporting a positive path in your life. Yeah. It just means you have somebody supporting you. And what kind of support is that if somebody, won't challenge you? I think challenging somebody is the best. I'm going on a rant here. I heard a long time ago. Yeah, a long time ago I was talking to a businessman. And I was like, what's like some business advice? And one of the things that really stuck with me, he said, never have a business partner that thinks like you. I was like, what? Why not? Like, why would I want to argue? Like, that was my first thought. Like, why would you want to argue every step of the way? He said, if you don't have somebody challenging you or pushing against you or stopping a path that you want to go down, you have a much larger chance of both walking over the cliff together. Mm-hmm. He said, but if you have somebody that's challenging you and you're challenging them and you can work it out, like, peacefully, then you will build each other up. And it just shows like what challenge. I mean, even like just, whether you're training or in a match, like just having that challenge to bring you to the next level. Like a loss, I'd imagine for you guys with your motivation, like does a loss bring you down or does it motivate you higher? Like I'd imagine it builds you up. It's like, all right, I got to train hard. Yeah, right? It's like I got to train harder. It's like there's a lot of things in life that I feel like correlate with the wrestling community or even just sports in general. I mean, yours is much more physical. I think the correlation is a little bit more in your face. But just like this mentality, I just can't fathom what it would do to young people today if they had more of, what you guys are talking about or some of your experiences. Mm-hmm. But anyway, sorry, that's my rant. I go on rants all the time. I'm terrible.
It's just like, how does one even fix that, like, on social media thing? Because, like, obviously...
Delete the app.
Yeah. But, like,
that's what I've done. Past 2 months I haven't had hard. Instagram.
Like, I'll download it just to like watch some funny videos and then like, get
trapped
and then it's like, oh god.
Dude, my favorite is when you go to delete it and it's like, Jessica's gonna really miss you. Oh, Bill just got a new dog. You sure you don't want to go? Yeah, exactly. Have you ever seen those where it'll like it? Oh, dude, like Facebook when I first deleted it, it was really? Like these are all the people that are gonna miss you. Like when I was trying to shut down my account,
it had those notifications.
It pulled up the page and it was like showing me things, and it sucked me back in for a minute. I was like, no, wait a minute. Why am I back on this page? Right. Like, go back. And then it showed me a new set of people of like, these people are going to miss you. And it showed their faces. I'm like, this is legitimately a drug. This is a drug at this point, and they're not hiding it. And I got rid of it.
What's that documentary on Netflix where it's like, talks about all this like social media and stuff? How they like know everything you're doing.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember it.
I don't think I've completely
seen it.
Social Dilemma?
I think it's Social Dilemma, yeah. And like, they'll just know how long you look at a post. Take that. Put it into your system, whatever. Keep giving you ads about stuff. Yeah. And I don't use Facebook like that. Where like
that I got rid of.
I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
But like Instagram, I don't have TikTok. But Instagram, I'll look at the reels and just go through it, and I'll look at one video for like a little longer, and it's like something I would never ever watch, but I just looked at it because it's like weird. The next like 3 videos, same like, thing, and I was like, "What is going on?" So I deleted it. I tried to delete it.
Dude, it's so creepy.
It's so weird. I hate it. It's so weird.
It's in your head, man.
But,
it's dangerous. I'm worried about young people with stuff like that because I'll do the same thing. I'm like, I'm always looking at my screen time app to show like what I was wasting time on, and it's like, all right, I need to just get off Instagram right now.
Yeah.
That actually helped me get off Instagram a lot. I still love looking at videos, but now it's like, I mean, I probably have, like, I used to always be like, oh, I need to get rid of all these red notifications. Oh, I have to. Now I'm like, I don't care. It's got like, 70 something text messages on red or, 100 and something messages in Instagram. I mean, literally, it's probably what it is. I'm like, I just don't care. I don't feel a need to go and do that. Like if somebody really wants to reach out or knows me, they know I'm not blowing them off. Like they're just busy. I'm just living.
And I think for us, like we didn't really have social media as a kid. I know I got my first phone in like 8th grade. The only like iPad we would use was our grandma's, and we'd go over her house and just play on that when we could. But even then, we had like time limits and stuff because we were always being pushed to like play outside and
it's great.
And do stuff like that.
Like,
and so
our childhood was outside, like even if it was just like doing weird things, like
weird things,
just like pretending we were animals running around all fours, some weird thing, but. Yeah, we like got our hands dirty every day, so I think like
awesome.
that definitely helps too. But the kids today, where they're like iPad kids or like looking at phones, TikTok, all this stuff, like that's just getting into their brain, like seeing things, and you can literally tell. You walk, even girls in college, like I'll see a girl in college and like try to have a conversation, and it's like you can tell they've just been on TikTok because they say things that you see video. It's just like it's like not real life.
There's like new lingo and
it's not real life. I feel like, dude, I'm talking to like a robot. It's just so I can't
NPCs, dude.
It.
NPCs.
Yeah, literally NPCs. Yeah.
So no, weird. It's great. Like talking about balance again. I keep going back to being a father just because seeing you guys. That's like one of my biggest things I've been thinking about during our conversation. Is just like my own son and like just watching the way you guys were raised and the outcome. But like, so my son has an iPad, but a lot of people like might frown upon that, but he might be on it a couple hours every few months. I mean, it's like he's not on it, and like really like when he has stuff because he's younger, I can get away with this. I'll just find something on there and like delete it. I delete the app, and he's like, oh, I can't. It's not working, buddy. Because like the YouTube kids, I watched him. He's just like watching hamsters around. I'm like, that's not educational. No. So I started downloading games that were educational. Like if he's not on there learning, I don't want him to be on there. Yeah. And like we just got them. They haven't opened them yet. We did save one Christmas present for Christmas, which is like the new Amazon tablets. They were like half off for like Black Friday. So I bought both of them tablets. And it's like the goal with this is going to be a learning tool. This is going to be helping them alongside school and, whatever. Because there's so many different things for kids to help them learn. But this is not for them to sit there. And this isn't a way for me to quiet them up when I don't feel like being a parent, and I don't feel like taking the time to find out what's going on and calm them down or whatever. Yeah. Like, obviously there's those little moments where you need them to be quiet, like just like, but it's not like an end all. A lot of parents, it's like they just quiet their kids up and hand them the tablet, hand them the phone. It's like, I get that there's moments where that's helpful, but that can't be like something you fall back on all the time. Mm-hmm. Like I always look for opportunities to take his tablet away. Yeah. Everything. I'm like, you've been on it too much. And now he hasn't had it for a month because the new tablets were coming. I knew he was going to be on them a lot.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a balance because like I want him to have it because I really don't want him to like be, grow up and be like, I don't know how to use it. I want him to be intuitive. Like, cause I mean, you guys know a new thing comes out, you could just grab the phone and know how to do something when your dad would be like, or your grandfathers, like these older generations would be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's like, you just intuitively know.
Yeah. And right? It's different.
I want him to have that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's different for sure. Like these days, like where this technology is going to be a part of our lives, whether we like it or not. Mm-hmm. So like these tablets or iPads like can be very beneficial. Like I see like Ryan has one for school. I don't have one because I don't know, but Ryan has one and he uses it for school, and it's like this saves so much time. Like I see people at my school using it. I'm like, dude, this could be really good, but at the same time, like it could be bad. And I think we're so new as like a society in this like type of technology where it's like we don't know how to like tell our kids like what to do here. Like we can't really. I don't know. It just feels like.
And we don't know the long-term effects of a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah.
No, so this is my first like experience of like it actually kind of being like kind of scary for little kids, because my buddy's little cousin, his parents are separated, and they enrolled him in like the Elon Musk school,
Okay.
which is like
Yeah.
the online school,
Sorry.
and he's just on an iPad on a TV and all day long, and really doesn't have any social life, and their like family time is in separate rooms playing like Fortnite with each other, and this kid's like
That's
6 years
crazy.
old, and like, and then I hear this story where there's like no interaction with other kids with him. I hear this story where he like kicked his dog like to death, like just kicked him in the throat like a bunch of times and like didn't feel anything about it. So like
Wow.
What?
that's like scary, just like what, like not having those like outlets or interactions like can do to a young kid's brain.
Yeah.
And it's
disturbing.
very like, I was like, dude, they got to do something about that.
Well, there's a lot of things like that, like not having normal experiences. Like there was tons of stories you can go down and find out, like these people that are in jail because the first fight they got and they killed somebody, and it's like they didn't realize. Like for me, like I got into fist fights from growing up, and not to say you have to be in fist fights, but like I'm just using that as an example. Whereas I learned control. I learned like what a punch is going to do. I know that somebody cracking their head on the ground is not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get these people that just have no life experience in whatever area you want to fill the blank in, and then boom, like you go to the nth degree. It's like bringing a gun to a knife fight. It's you have to learn. You have to have these experiences with people. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I was.
Disgusting.
I can't blame that completely on Fortnite or anything like that, but but it definitely doesn't help the situation. It helps breed bad behavior.
Yeah.
It definitely helps, exacerbate issues.
Like he doesn't know like the difference between right and wrong in that type of situation, and
It's so weird. Just kicked his dog.
yeah, it was like then like the parents took it to the hospital and then or the vet and then they were in the back seat and she was like, yeah, he's dead. So it was.
Dude, that's horrible.
The kid was just like, all right.
Yeah, and he's just like a little psychopath, but he's a nice kid.
Elon Musk.
Like I've met him, but
And you can't think that kid's just like a lost cause and crazy. Like
yeah,
it's like,
no,
you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like my son always has interactions where like obviously he's not doing something to that degree, but like he's always learning that a lot of the things he does are very rude behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that to beat him down, but I'll be like, hey buddy, when we were in there and that lady said, hello to you and you just ignored her, I'm not mad, she's not mad, but that was very rude.
Yeah.
Like when people say stuff like that, we like to talk back to them. So like I remember when I was a kid being taught like normal interactions with people. Same thing like with
manners,
animals.
yeah.
It was like my big push was to go pay for things when we got up to the counter. My mom would hand me the money to go. If I wanted to buy bubble gum or buy like a little juice, she'd hand me $1 and I'd go pay for it. And I was so afraid at first, but then I built confidence. But you have to build social confidence as well as like internal confidence. It's like that's just part of being a human being.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn things that are okay and not okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just explode into a bad situation like that. And it's like now everybody thinks you're the crazy kid, but really, you just need some. Trying to think, attention. Really, you need some attention to like a lot of
absolutely.
areas. That's crazy though.
No,
That story
yeah.
got me like so out.
That's like my dad, and he would teach us manners and stuff. And my first thing I think I ever, like my first like real like life lesson was holding a door for a girl and like letting girls go ahead before you. I think that like the respecting woman part was like the first like real like I remember the first real lesson that I learned, and like hopefully like I know it still sticks with me today, obviously, and just being respectful, obviously to everybody, but like putting a woman like kind of before you, I think is kind of going away just with the whole equality thing now. But I don't know. I always want to be respectful to a lady because I don't know. That's just how I was raised.
Yeah, I never really understood the like not like where equality or feminism comes into like being angry that someone would hold the door for you.
Exactly.
It's like it's not like I'm better than you. It's always like I respect you on such a level. Like just that's that's such a normal thing for me. Like I see a lady usually it's Wawa, stopping for fuel or going to grab a drink or something. It's like always opening up the door for a lady. But yeah, dude, I think that's like kind of a mentality that's being challenged now by both sides. And I don't think any of that stuff's going to bring anything good to our society. But one of the things I do want to also talk about is God and your faith and what kind of role that plays. Because I think a lot of the things we're seeing in society, and watching society break down in many areas, while it's like crazy. Like tech is advancing so crazily, like in such fast speeds, but then like the rest of society is dropping off. It's like, what is going on? Like, where's this, disconnect? And I personally believe a lot of it has to do with just the abandonment of God in this country. I just think it's a huge correlation. But as far as, everything we've really talked about, anything you want to jump in on, I'm curious, like, where God and your faith and your upbringing with the church has played a role in all of this. Because I know that's probably like a huge part of your lives. But as far as like your wrestling, and just the sport of it all, where does that fit in?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the beginning. Like, my mom is my biggest like role model, and my faith, and so I think even when we were little kids, like going to church and all this stuff was like just kind of like expected, and like it's just how we were raised up. So we have a base of that, and like I loved growing up in the church and stuff, and it was fun. I think like for me, I'll just tell kind of how I perceive it and stuff, and then Ryan can share. But I love to read my Bible, all this stuff, go to church camps, all this stuff, and then all through high school, middle school, high school, and then college came, and I kind of fell away a little bit. But recently, past year, I kind of broke down, reached out to my mom and my mom, who are like my biggest faith warriors. They pray for me every day, and I love it, and they kind of got me back on the right track, and I felt it with wrestling. I think that's my biggest thing, like kind of correlating that to wrestling is like a lot of my confidence came from knowing I'm doing everything I'm doing for God, and like kind of just like I want to lift him up and like kind of bring everything I do and just kind of lay it before him. And I fell away from that and was doing things for myself. So it gives me almost like a new sense of like purpose, confidence, just doing the things for God. And, obviously like it's insane. Like you can't really talk, like explain everything that he does for like us and definitely me and stuff. But, I think it's the biggest part of my life, and I want to wrestle and do all these things that I'm doing for him. And I want to use that platform to like bring others closer to him if possible and stuff. So, last thing is just like me and my buddies at school, like on the team, like we do devotionals. I got him into doing like some of my like more.
Oh, that's awesome.
More in devotional, yeah, with me. And
were they Christians beforehand, or was this just something you kind of just said, "Hey, I'm doing this," or how's that get started?
Yeah,
because especially in the college realm, that's like
So like I've always had like everyone knew I was a Christian. Everyone knew I believed in God. But I never like kind of reached out to them or like. Because I was like myself was struggling, so when I got back up on the horse and stuff, and I like reached out to one of the other guys on the team, and like he was a big Christian and stuff, so like we would do it together. People saw what we were doing, and they were interested, so we were like, hey, just come out and like come do this with us. You don't have to come back if you don't want to. But it ended up getting to like 7 or 8 guys on the team. And ever since then, it's been pretty cool. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool.
And it's just cool to see
accountability too.
Yeah, like you just see yourself influencing others in this light, and because you want people to look at you. And Ryan, like he's told me this before, because he's helped me as well. Like Ryan's like always been strong, I feel like, in his faith. But there's a lot of, you want people to look at you and see like you're a Christian, but like you have fun as well. Like it's nice to be a Christian. Like you see him like, hey, I want to be like that guy. Like my mom and Ryan would always tell me like, hey, like you want to be like this guy. Like you want to look at me, or you want to look at Ryan and be like, hey, I want what he has. And that's all just God. Like you just have that presence, and it's like it's really cool. Like you just feel it. So yeah.
It's awesome. One of the things you said that stuck out to me, and that's something I've been shown my whole life, and I wish I can remember it in the moments that I forget it,
Right.
which obviously, can't. But you were saying that you were falling off, and then you mentioned specifically like you were doing things for you rather than doing it for God. It's so bizarre to think that, like, all right, so for me, it's like, and I'm sure the same thing. It's like you're living your life for God, right? You're in the Word, you're reading, you're doing things for others, and then it's like, oh, you got a little bit busy. All right, listen, I'm gonna have to like put this aside a little bit and like focus on me. And it's like you'd think that working on yourself and not this other thing that you can call a distraction with the yourself part would help yourself.
Right.
But it's like the more you put this thing aside that is not seemingly at the moment for you, and you focus on like I need more time to sleep, or I need more time for social, or I need more time for working out, and you exchange that for, God with the me, you would think that the me would get strengthened. But it's not the case. It's like you start seeing the complete opposite. Like that was one of the weirdest things to learn as a Christian. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people listening could disagree, but in my experience, the more I focus on other people, devotions, just God in general, like I have God on my mind, or just living a godly lifestyle, the more the me part that I would want to focus on just naturally starts happening. Like the things I want to change in myself just start naturally happening. The desires that I want to push away start naturally happening. Like the more you're in the Word, it's like even like, we're talking about social media and access to like the internet. It's like porn or any of these things that like are huge distractions and totally accessible today, like with no effort at all. It's like you can fight against that all you want and like put efforts in. Like I remember like trying to get away from porn. It was like, all right, I just need to like focus on something else, do something. Every time I want to, watch porn, like maybe I'll go for a walk, or I'll go, do this, play this game on my phone or something stupid. And it's like you keep trying to do that and it's not going to work. But if I fill my head with like devotions or just reading the Word, or even just a book that is godly centered, it's like that desire already just falls by the wayside.
That's crazy.
Because it's like
you say that because that it happened. Like
it's bizarre, right?
You lose interest in things that like aren't for God. Like you just like don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know any kind of work experience you've had under anybody, if you've ever done like summer jobs, but like there's different kind of managers. There's managers that try to micromanage like every little thing you do. And when you're trying to micromanage somebody, like I've never done it, but I've watched people try to micromanage me or micromanage others. It's just like it falls apart when you're trying to get everything right. But if you try and like look at the bigger picture and work on like what the big problem is, this other little micromanaging crap that you're worried about, like the way somebody puts a pencil in or the way they fold the piece of paper, it'll all just kind of work itself out if you're focusing on the big picture. So like, why are you wanting to go look at pornography? Why are you going to want to go and like, put that substance in your body that's going to harm you or whatever, fill in the blank. It's like, instead of worrying about all these little things, if you put yourself on a path that naturally steers you away from that, that's all you got to focus on. And you'd think it's like this hard thing of like, oh, I have to give all this up. It's like, no, you don't have to give up anything. Like focus on this and just live your life. This other stuff, it's not like you'll be like, oh, I have to get rid of this aspect of my life because I'm a Christian now. It's like, I have no interest in that anymore. It's really like the end all be all, like way to better yourself. I love that about it. But anyway, going on a tangent again, but when you were talking about that definitely brought that mindset up.
Yeah. It's just like, you can't really describe it. Like, obviously it's still hard. Like, you're still going to have struggles. Like, the devil's going to come after you even harder when, you find, God and want to like worship him all the time. Like there's always going to be more temptation, more stuff, but like literally if you just continuously pray throughout your day, like that's what I do, just talk to God. Even before wrestling matches, like during practice, I'm like, I'm tired, like, God, come on, help me out here. I'm like getting tired right now. Like, but it's amazing. And I just really end goal is just to like have a platform through wrestling because God allowed me to have that platform and just use it to glorify him. And I think that's all I can really do, in my lifetime. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you?
No, same backstory as well. Just like grew up in the church And I really started to like find God and just pursue Him more at the start of high school, and just wanted to keep growing in that life. And our mom is really like she's definitely my biggest role model too in that aspect. Just she's always praying, always has a Bible verse for something, and she's always there to help us through tough situations and always applying God to the situation. And so that was really big for me personally. Just working through these everyday situations, knowing that God is on your side and God is there for you. And so once college came, I was a freshman last year, and one of the seniors, one of the most devoted guys I know to Christ, Johnny Miranda. He's now actually in Buds right now, going to be a SEAL. And
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's cool.
He's a little guy. He was like 133 pound class, and he really took me under his wing, and really just wanted to teach me everything he knew about Christ and how to lead others. And it was an amazing process that we went through the entire year. We'd meet every week. He'd disciple me, and just how to apply God into your everyday life. And so, just like praying all day, just walking to class, just always keeping him in your head really doesn't even allow the devil to get in there. And so that's really helped me. And then with wrestling, just having like knowing God's there, and being a leader to others, like being a hard worker in the room, really shows that like you want to be there, but then also lifting others up shows like, oh, what's this guy have that I don't, like I want to know more about this, and that's your opening, that's your window to introduce God into their lives. And so Johnny would lead these Bible studies every week, and we'd have a pretty good showing, and once he left, he kind of passed that baton on to me and a few of the other guys that he worked with last year. And so now we have a Bible study that we lead every Wednesday.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we just want to keep building it, like get the team culture to just be this one really tight knit group that is centered around God and glorifying God and showing like this is our Savior and we do everything for Him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's interesting because, like, if I open up my social media, you think, like, as soon as you go to college, it's like this godless, satanic place where if you even believe in God, it's like you're going to be shut down and crushed, and any chance of claiming to be a Christian, you're just going to get torn down. So, and that's obviously, like, the extreme in the videos you see. But in the reality of that, do you guys see that you were... Well, I mean, how are you challenged there? Like, you have a lot of great minds. I mean, you're there to learn, right? So you have people that know more than you in a lot of these aspects and different areas of life. And I see a lot of times, people like that, if they have a very strong opinion that's anti-God, it's kind of hard to argue back with that, especially when they're in control of your grades and your future. Mm-hmm. Have you guys had any kind of challenges in that aspect, or even with other students?
I mean, for me, not really, because again, like towards the beginning of this podcast, I said Navy was a lot like the high school schedule, and so that also kind of means it's a lot like high school again for me, where like my only real friends are in the wrestling community, like on my wrestling team, and we all respect each other and our opinions, and we know that a lot of us are Christians, and so we respect those thoughts and decisions. And so I haven't really got any pushback. I've even found some mentors off the team, in my classes and stuff, and like there's not much like. I feel like Navy's definitely the Naval Academy is not like a school to get into big arguments about things, like especially like politics and stuff, and like you can't really talk about politics that much because you work under like the president, and so so it's really like no real pushback for me. I'd say like we're all pretty like-minded people.
That's cool.
It's a pretty small population at that school too, so
it makes sense. Like you said though, like back in high school, like you have like this tight circle of guys, and you know if you're mostly spending your time with them training or you know any kind of it's either that or I'm guessing schoolwork, that makes a big difference. What about you though? Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, I think it's a different environment for me, especially just like teachers, because like they I haven't met one teacher that thought the same as me in terms of like the world, politics, stuff like that. So, especially in one of my classes is like it's called human development, and she spent like she spent like 2 weeks straight on just gender studies and stuff, and I'm like I didn't sign up for gender studies, so I actually talked to her after one of my classes, and it was just like, why are we talking about this still? Like, this is like, we've been talking about like nutrition, and now you're just ranting about, because she's like, I don't even know what she is, like, or I don't even know what to like call her, him, I don't know, but they just kind of like got really mad just because I was like questioning even a little bit. I was being respectful. I wasn't trying to be like, rude or anything. I was just like, hey, like, why are we still going on about this? It's kind of been the same message the whole time. Like, you're encouraging us to go explore our sexuality and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm just trying to learn, and I know, like, this stuff isn't going to be, like, on the test. And then she's like, or whatever. They were just like, her face got really red, and she just started, like, screaming at me. And I was just like, never mind. I'm sorry. Just, like, apologize. But, nah, I think... in terms of like religion and stuff, and all the guys I hang out with respect me, and so the thoughts I have and the beliefs I have are going to be respected. So I'm not going to get any like pushback, like he said. So
yeah, it's weird though. Like, not to go in too much on that, but it's like the walking on eggshells that I could feel like you were trying to explain is the only way I'm picturing it, and then to get that kind of reaction in a place where you're literally there to challenge ideas. You're there to learn and further. And the fact that we have this whole set of things that we cannot challenge or question, it's like, well, then again, it goes back to the business partner. If you're trying to train up people to think identical to you, then there's a big chance that you're training people to walk off the cliff with you. And that's kind of where I see the, civilization going. That's where I see our country going.
Yeah. And it just sucks to see like I'm in this class with a bunch of college students, and it's a time where they're being like extremely influenced, and there's this person up here talking about things that aren't even real, and they're soaking it all in, and it's like I'm getting so mad listening to it. I'm like, guys, like, please, like, this is not it. And they it just sucks because like I know a lot of teachers are like that, and that's kind of our generation, and that's what they're getting in their heads. Even like now, I know like high school, like Alina, my little sister, was telling me about things, and even younger than that, like people are just getting, the kids are just getting fed up, and like with all this BS, and it's like I just don't even want to see what our future is going to be like when this is all they're getting fed. It's like not real. It's like almost like a fake sense of living. It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't understand how some people are put in the positions that they are nowadays, and that goes all the way up to the top. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to get canceled right now.
no, it really goes back to everything we're talking about. Like, we have a shortage of leaders. We have a shortage of courageous men or women. Like, I don't even care if you're man or woman. Like, we have a shortage of courageous people. We have a shortage of people that are willing to say no to the mainstream, to fight against it. There was this story I was told, or I heard on Rogan a few times, if you were listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, where I think it was on there. But anyway, where a bunch of students were asked, like, do you think if back in the day, during the time of slavery, would you have been for or oppose it? And of course, everybody raised their hand. I'd be opposed. I'd oppose slavery. And then the professor goes, all right, so what today that is mainstream, fully accepted, do you stand against? And nobody raised their hands. And the idea is that if you were just following the leader or afraid to challenge afraid to challenge, things you're being told or the social norms, then what makes you think you'd have been any different back in the day as in the slave days? Like, why would you have pushed against that when you can't push against something now that you might know is wrong or might not agree with? And it's like there's just this fear of challenging. That goes back to like the raising NPCs. It's scary. It's scary. I don't know what's coming, but I'm glad that to see people in your age, and especially when I meet someone even younger than you guys that has that mentality. It's like I don't want them to think like me. That's not what excites me. Or if you guys think like me, it's not what excites me. It's like just the idea that you guys are strong-minded. You love the Lord. You're not afraid to say that on here. Mm-hmm. Like you even go up and question that lady. Yeah. I feel like most people in there, like nowadays, you don't even know if the person next to you believes it or not because nobody will speak up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're afraid to.
There's got to be someone in here thinking the way I'm thinking.
Oh, there absolutely is.
Right.
There absolutely is. So. But my wife was doing online school, and she had a teacher that, she was learning like statistics, and it was like they used that as an opportunity. I think it was the statistics, but they were, whatever class it was like completely outside of what they were talking about, but was like very political and very much like not grimace. That's such a term used nowadays, not grooming. Like they were really feeling for like what their students were thinking and where they stood on these certain political issues. And she was so afraid to answer. Like she's like, I literally have to lie on my reports because this woman will give me a grade depending on whether I agree with her or not. And I was like, how is this college? Yeah. How is this okay? And she's that's for nursing. Like, this has nothing to do with saving somebody's life. Yeah. Like it's disgusting. It's so bad. And I don't know where that brings us, but I think having goals, having confidence, being an individual, not just following the leader every step of the way is how we pull out of this, and training up young people to do the same.
For sure.
Not just training them to think like you, but training them to like just have the confidence to think on their own and challenge.
And like you said, going back to just God, putting that in the center of everyone's life, and just, I don't know, I think once you have that connection, once you have that in you, it's like, once that branches out, it can't really go wrong. Like your mind, it's obviously going to get swayed some ways, but like you're always going to have that like in you to like kind of go back to.
Yeah. So. Are you guys getting too cold, by the way?
I'm good.
You guys are good? All right, I'm going to freeze it out. So for those of you listening, the room that we're recording in is right next to where my furnace is, which heats the house, which normally it's not an issue like for a couple hours to have it off, but it's 6 degrees outside.
It is very cold outside.
It's insane. And I was like, man, the temperature dropped in here so quickly. If you guys are good, I'll keep it off because it's so noisy, but let me know. Don't sit here and freeze for my sake.
Frozen, go for it.
No, it's all good. Yeah. No, it's good. I can handle it. No, I got this. Please, whatever.
Mental toughness. Right there.
No, I just wanted to make sure. Because I felt it drop quickly here. It's funny, we have a hot tub out there that needs some repairs. That's why, like, I don't know if you saw it. Or no, you guys came into the front. All the side panels are off. We had a mouse go in, or a rat, something, while it was, like, down. Because we built a deck in the back, and I poured a cement pad to move it over to. We ran the electric out. We get it going, and, like, there's all these issues, like, and leaks, and just from moving it. And then we open it up and find out, like, a mouse was living inside of, like, the main center and was, like, eating wires. So... It's funny, I have to hit the breaker on and off just to keep it at a normal temp. If I leave it on too long, it goes so hot that I went in it the other day and it was like over 120 degrees and I burnt my legs so bad. Because I thought it was so cold when I went in there. I was like, that's kind of what it feels like when you're freezing and go into hot water, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, no, something's like really wrong. And I get out and there's like this red ring above my ankles that goes all the way down to my toes. And I was like, I just burnt myself. So, but anyway, I'm trying to stop it from freezing until the parts come in. So it's like I'm constantly turning it on and off. But it was crazy. I went out there and the steam was pouring out of the side and freezing and making ice. Like it was just crazy how cold it was. Yeah. Anyway, this is the coldest weather I've had in a while. I'm so glad I'm not working this weekend. Yeah. But anyway, so state champions. You mentioned that, or state championships. You mentioned that earlier. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Or you were saying back in 2019 and 2020. I have it written down, but
Yeah, I mean, if
lost
you
in my
can pull
notes
it up,
here.
I just don't know exactly the year. It was my sophomore year, and I graduated 2020. So,
Well, I guess if you could tell me a little bit about that, because you go from
Yeah. Yeah.
you go from these, the matches locally and you keep working your way up. Like, did you see like, hey, this is where I'm heading? Or did it just like come real quick and real fast and you just, hey, I'm here for the ride?
Yeah, so literally, like I know a point in my training and in my wrestling career where the switch flipped. So, freshman year, I went to Sun Valley. We went to Sun Valley High School, and they had an okay program, and as a freshman there, I was like 195, whatever the weight class was, and was just wrestling with the older guys on the team. And I was just doing okay, like, in matches and stuff. I was obviously like, I was bigger, so I was like better than a lot of the guys and stuff. But I remember making it to states that year, like barely making it, and went like 1-2 at the state tournament. And so I don't know. I went up to my dad after. I was like, "This is like, it hurts. Like this is like, I hate losing." And so like I was like, "Hey, like I want to get better." And he found Hagel. I don't even know how they met or how they came in contact. I guess actually it was because we were going to go to Haverford.
True.
So we were going to actually like go into this private school and wrestle there, but their head coach was this guy Greg Hagel, and my dad, like, we went there, introduced him to us, and ever since like we hit one of his practices, which was the hardest practice I've ever done, that's where the switch flipped, because I know, like, all right, this is what wrestling is. This is like what hard work is, and I've never like went through a practice like that. Never like was pushed that hard, and as soon as that happened, he saw what Hagel saw in me, what I was capable of before I even did, and he kind of took to me and Ryan and like saw how green we were and how new kind of we were to the sport, and was like, I can really do something with these two kids, and so he kind of literally put us under his wing, and like literally it was almost like a mentorship. Like it was every day. Like little things, like little habit practices, little disciplines and stuff. And ever since that first practice, I remember like, all right, it's only up from here. So coming into the next year, I ended up winning states, like going from barely making it to states, 1-2, winning it is literally because of that one interaction with that coach. And
that's awesome. That's such a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah, and it's just
a turning point.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, that's where it was, and that turning point and stuff. But I think it's just like it's a lifestyle thing, and that's when my lifestyle kind of switched. So. And
you were willing to do it afterwards too, because I'm sure when you went into that, seeing that different lifestyle, there's that point where you're like, all right, I can go down this path, mm-hmm. or I can go back and just kind of leisurely like enjoy doing this and still being serious. But then there's that next level.
Yeah,
going
it's
to
next level. It's a different level. Like we talked earlier about how we didn't want to like really party or anything, and I can't even say that if I didn't meet Hagel and we didn't start taking it up not like those levels, if I would be here today, because like who knows, maybe I wouldn't have been like, I gotta stay disciplined right now, and went to the party or went to this thing but I probably shouldn't have went to, and then see how my life would have turned out. Like it's kind of a scary thought, but I'm like very grateful for that opportunity. So, and then the next year took third. I lost to a kid I shouldn't have lost to, and then ended up beating him in the third and fourth match. So took third that year, and then my senior year obviously had won, but the kids weren't really anything special. But.
No, that's awesome though that it took somebody to sorry, plugging this in. I yanked it out earlier. It's just crazy how much one person
mm-hmm.
can affect somebody's life, or even multiple people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And was this specifically you guys, or was there a group of people that he took under his wing, or was it the two of yous? At that time,
it started, I think, with there's two kids at Haverford because he was the head coach, so mm-hmm. The two better kids there, and then us. because we would go to those workouts. Then you'd have Chase and Chris Colbert, and it was us four.
Oh, this is what you were talking about earlier. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was the same thing. That's like that group.
Kinda. That's how the lab.
That's
started.
how it started.
Yeah.
Okay.
It started in Howard.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, you can go kind of touch on that if you want, but that's yeah.
Yeah. And so I also went to these practices, and I thought they were just the hardest thing ever. And it took me a little bit to like catch on.
So what's hard? Like what's the practice look like?
I mean, it's Hagel's practices are a lot more just like hard drilling more than live. Like instead of just going at it with each other, trying to take each other down, it's more just like controlled, fast-paced drilling. And doing that for the whole practice is very hard.
Like physically exhausting.
Yeah, physically exhausting. And everything's very technical. Like he emphasized being doing all the little things right, doing the mundane when you're tired. And so he'd beat us down and then make us do a single move over and over again until we get it right. And so those practices were hard, and I took a little bit to finally catch on like Hunter did. But yeah, so we started there. It was just kind of us four, and then he didn't choose like the best guys because we didn't start off as the best guys. He chooses kids who like want to be the best, who has that work ethic and has that ability to stay disciplined and do what they need to do to be the best. And so it started off with just us four, and then other kids would come to these practices, and then I think James Lido and Christian Hodges. Christian Hodges, who's now a teammate of mine at Navy, they started coming to these practices, and then once we kind of got these group of guys going, that's when our dad kind of started making this workout room in the garage and started putting mats down so we could have people over and practice up there.
It was legit. That place is awesome.
Yeah,
It used to be Adams. You know that, right? Like,
yes. Yeah.
And it literally
Before the fire, right?
down.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think about that often. That's such a crazy
It's
thing.
so crazy.
weird opportunity, but
Yeah.
No, that freaking dog died.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. I forget
was
about that
sad,
often.
dude.
Every once in a while, like that picture will come up, like, because we have like different photo streams that come up, or like, I guess my iPhone too, like pulling back old photo. I'll see it. I'm like, I completely forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Literally.
It was an electrical fire. I think it was a nail that went through and made contact with a wire and set the house on. The one thing I do remember specifically was the amount of ammunition that was going off
my
and
gosh.
just exploding, and like the firemen wouldn't go in. It was just
It was weird.
crazy. The fact that nobody died and that happened at the time that
There was
it
like
did
a
is
big
amazing.
gas tank behind the building too, and so like
I didn't know
the
that.
firefighters were like, because we live in front of that,
Mm-hmm.
if you can picture it. So like, they were like, you guys got to get out of here because if that thing goes, like the whole place is gonna explode. Like we're gonna. So we had to like, it was kind of scary, but yeah, unfortunately the dog died, and but ultimately like it created the lab, which is what we call it, the resting room, and but yeah, no, it sucks that happened. I really wish it didn't, but I think God used that in favor for us, and I know like Adam and Chrissy now have a beautiful house and a beautiful family and good neighbors now. So yeah, I mean, ultimately it worked out, but
Yeah, that was crazy. I forgot until you mentioned that was the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
but
No, that's pretty cool though. So you went to state 2 years, right?
three.
Three.
Oh,
Three.
I won twice.
But you won twice.
No, I actually went 4 times.
I didn't realize you went so many times.
I went every year, yeah.
Wow.
And it was like I was the first freshman to ever like qualify for states. Like, and
I did see
at
that.
Sun
That was
Valley-
incredible.
Yeah, at Sun Valley it was we had some good guys come through there, but it was never like I don't know, it was never something that me and Ryan kind of put out on the table. It's like where these guys wanted to come out and prove something, win, and all this stuff. It's like, so I was the first guy to do that, first person to win, obviously. But after I went for the first time, I was like, this is not enough. Like everyone was like, oh my God, good job. you just went, like, we were the first freshman to ever make it to states, and I'm like, okay, well, I went 1 and 2 and got my butt, handed to me there, and so I don't know. I think that mindset is what made me good, in high school and stuff, and continues to make me.
Well, it's funny you talk about everybody else because we all fall into that. Like you're the one with the pressure on you, but everybody else is like they're giving you the win before you got it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to throw the trophy at you, and it's like you had the wherewithal to be like, no, like I need to train harder. Like this is cool, this is great. I got here,
Right.
but I didn't do well.
Yeah, not enough.
Which is like, and again, it's one of those pivotal moments where you can take that and say, I'm not good enough and beat yourself down. Or you could do I think the better thing is like to use that as motivation, which probably seems very normal for you guys, because you've done that. But that is just something, like I said, we both all said here, like is just lacking in a lot of young people today. It's like you get beat down. It's like, oh, I just not in the cards for me. It's like, no, like do something a little different.
Yeah.
Make it work. Like even this podcast, like I had challenges along the way, and it's like, I mean, this is very different, but challenges along the way. I could have easily been like, oh, this isn't going to work. Like COVID came and that beat me down. And then I was like, you know what? Like if anybody's willing to come to the house, I'm going to keep going. So after like 3 months of not having it, I was like, I'm done with this. Like however I'm going to do it, I'll do it over Zoom. I'll do whatever I need. And I got some people to come out and we kept it going. It's like, there's always going to be something to challenge you in life. So if you're listening to this, and maybe you're going through something like you've just been beat down, just understand that like there's a that's normal. It's part of life, and there is a way out. There are steps to take to get out of this mess, and reach out and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's another thing, like not being afraid to ask for help, or like realizing like the strength you can have as a group versus alone. A lot of people like. I know all of us sitting here at this table have a good support group, and not everybody does. But it's like you can't be afraid to go ask for that help if you don't have it already around you.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No, for sure. Adversity is part of everybody's life. It's been a huge part for our lives and yours, obviously, with your physical stuff. But like I remember like getting hurt. Like I broke my ankle at a tournament over the summer, my sophomore year, and I cried. Not because it hurt, just because like I knew I couldn't wrestle for a while. And I was like, that was the biggest thing.
Not that much.
But there's been so many times with the surgeries we've had where it's like kind of like a restart. Like, all right, we just got hurt. Like we're still gonna do everything we can right now to like continue to work for our goals. And it's like you can't stop just because there's a little adversity in your life. It's like if adversity comes, you have to take it head on. Like you can't back down. Once you back down a little bit, it's like you might as well just, stop. But you got to continue just to meet that head on and take things from that adversity and make it positive in any way. So
Definitely with the injuries too, because I was out my entire sophomore year from wrestling. And so I didn't make it to states freshman year. I don't even think I made it to regionals. And then didn't wrestle at all sophomore year. And then the best I took at states was third. I did that junior year, which I was happy with because obviously coming off a year of not wrestling, and then I think going through some tournaments in the summer where I was just learning experience, you could say, just getting beat up by some really good guys. And then my senior year was definitely the one that hurt me. It was the weird year with COVID and stuff, and so we didn't even know if we were gonna have a wrestling season, but training partners were whack for me because my number one training partner went to college, being Hunter, and so I was scrambling trying to find workout partners, which I found mainly at Malvern Prep, my buddy Nick Feldman. So I trained with him a lot, and then just trying to go all over the place, and which was a struggle, but it I don't know, not having Hunter there was definitely harder. And then losing in the semifinals to a kid that I beat the year before for third, was just like it definitely stung a little bit. Especially being my last year, I was supposed to win it. and I'll never have like my name up on the wall like Hunter does. And so that was just like it stung a little bit, but then knowing like I got 4 more years in college, I'm like I can go prove something there. So just always having like
Absolutely, man. That's awesome.
yeah, always just having that like what's next mentality too. Is just like it helps you overcome adversity a lot better too.
Absolutely. So talking about what's next, what are you guys thinking about? So we've ruled out UFC, right? What are you guys thinking? Like you're going for political science. Like, do you think you'll go and serve in the Navy? I mean, how's that? Is that definitely like the path you go after Annapolis?
Yeah, so at the Naval Academy, it's really just like a prep school for to become an officer in the Navy. And so after your 4 years at the college, you do 5 mandatory years in the service. And so it really doesn't depend on your major, what you do. It's more how your grades are. I choose political science because it's very easy. And so I'd have a better chance to do what I want to do afterward. And I always wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I thought it was the most badass thing a man could do. And then seeing my 2 of my buddies go off and pursue that this year. They were seniors last year. It was weird too because they're both like really small. So they were the 125 and 133 pounders, but just like wanting to do that, I wanted to be like in the military since I was a little kid, and being a SEAL and doing all that and being like toughest in the world.
I think even wanting to be a SEAL takes a special kind of crazy, but also like an incredible human being. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure we only know like a little taste of what their training looks like. I'm sure a lot of that is private, but just the stuff I hear about or like watching any videos on it or like what they endure, it's inspiring. Mm-hmm. It's like I love that we have people like that on our side because it is some of the most intense. Like you talk about next level, like that is a level so far beyond. Like to see what even somebody that doesn't make it in a SEAL. Because do you know the numbers offhand? Like how many people apply each year and how many make it?
Yeah, I think a Bud's class starts off with like 170 maybe. They bring it down to like 20s.
That's insane.
Yeah,
but like to me, like I'm sure it doesn't feel that way for the first person to drop out, but it's like there's something special about that. Like I want to know more about that person through the rest of their life. Like if you're even going for that, like there's something incredible about that. Let alone making it down to like that in the 20s. Like that's just such a wild group of men. Absolutely. And I mean, from what you have done so far, I have no doubt that you could be in those 20s.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you got the mentality for it, and a lot of life, and obstacles is mentality. It's not so much like the grades or the physical, like that stuff can come alongside it, but you have to have that mental confidence and capability to handle things like that. Like even just something as silly as talking about how cold it is down here. It's like just ignoring it. Like I love like any opportunity I have to like mind over matter any kind of pain. Like when I'm working outside in the winter and my hands are ice cold, like I love singing a good song and blowing it off and being like, I don't care. And that's silly. It might seem silly, but like as a man, like we strive for those things. Like we want that challenge to overcome. And I really do, in like some sick way, love ignoring my physical needs and just pushing past it. Like even on something silly
that's
like
healthy.
that.
That's just like a healthy thing.
It's good, dude. Why do we need that? I don't know what it is. Like,
you ever take ice baths?
I love.
It's a trend right now.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
I took a cold shower this morning because we don't really have ice baths, but even that, like, the amount of physical benefit is one thing, but like mentally, it's like, I just took a cold shower. That's kind of hard. Now what's next? Like, I just did that.
This is so silly, but all right, my hot water takes so long to get hot, and I love putting it on full blast hot and jumping in there, and it takes like a minute to get up, and then like I'm just ice cold, like chilling my body, but like it wakes me up and it gives me like energy. and then like real quick having like as soon as it gets hot, it's gonna scold me, like popping it back down.
Right.
But just like that little bit of like just going in there rather than waiting for it to get warm.
Yeah.
It's silly, but it's
Yeah,
like
no,
I
it's-
love those. I love those
You're
little
saving some
moments.
time too.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, those ice baths, I've done them before. They're cool. In Vietnam, there was one where we went in. I forget what it was. It was like an ice bath, or no, hot sauna. You do a hot sauna and like way hotter than I'm used to, and then jump into an ice bath. And it was like the contradiction of the temperatures was like such a shock on the body. It was intense, but like, I mean, screw Red Bull. Like that, if you want some energy, go do something like that, or you know, or cold shower in general. But
That's good stuff.
yeah, it's fun.
It's good for your heart too. Like your cardiovascular like health is.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
No, yeah, because like your heart's like beating fast in the sauna, and then you go to the ice tub and it slows down to try to like, you know, get your body like back to like normal and stuff. But then like starts picking back up again because it's really cold. Now you gotta like try to warm everything. So it's like just on your heart, it's like it's a good thing. So
That's cool.
And yeah, it's like we definitely both do that sauna ice bath for like recovery days and stuff like that.
It drains you though too. Like
It
doing
does.
that over and over, it's like it takes a lot out of like you're just tired after
Yeah.
that. Like
And I know a cold shower, by the way, is not comparing that. I want to make sure you guys are aware. I am sure of that. But I've done like the polar plunges and things like that, like in the middle of winter, just like jumping in the water or going to the ocean and jumping in. Like I love. I would love to have an ice bath, and do something like that. I don't know how often I'd use it, but I would love it.
yeah, because you have a hot tub too. So if you
Yeah.
put like a cold tub next to it, and
That would be, dude. That would be sick.
That'd be nice.
really cool.
Nice. I basically want to build Joe Rogan's studio. I want like a float tank, sauna.
Yeah.
You know, I would love a place to shoot in the house. That would be ultimate. Then I would never have to leave. Maybe that's not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, what about you? What's next for you?
Well, my major is human development, and so it's kind of just like helping humans. So I personally want to be a strength and conditioning coach for like a college sports team or potentially a professional sports team. So I know they make decent money, but like I love working with like my teammates and stuff and like other athletes to like help them get better. Like my little sister plays lacrosse, and I'd always give her like workouts or like some like cardio stuff to do. Like and even with me and Ryan, like we'd make workouts together, and it's just such a fun thing because it's like, all right, we just made this by ourselves. Now let's go do it and see how we feel. And it's always a good workout, but like I just think if I love doing that for other people, and like I want to help other people. So
It's cool. It's like full circle of you know having someone take you under their wing.
yeah, because I went into college like wanting to be a physical therapist just because I've had so many physical therapy appointments with all that. So I'm like, all right, this is kind of interesting. But then chemistry came, and I needed a C plus to pass it, and I got a C, and I was like, all right, well I could go back and take this. Like it's adversity, right? I could go do that, and I wanted to at first, and I was like, I started talking to some like trainers at Tech, and I was like, I just want to make sure it's exactly what I want to do before I spend all this money for a class that like I'm potentially gonna like right now decide that I'm gonna be a physical therapist. So it's like, you know what, I love helping others, but like I want to help others like in a different way. So I was like, you know what, I'll try to be a strength and conditioning coach.
That's
I'm gonna
cool.
try. That's my goal. So
That's awesome. You mentioned like the money thing, like paying well. I'm sure we've all heard this to ad nauseum of like, you know, if your job is something you like doing, you never work a day in your life. But if you break that down to like what that really is, it's like, you know, you can either go after something that's high paying or something that you enjoy. I think you need to find balance, because if you go after the high paying job and you're miserable there, well, what are you going to do with the money? You're going to go do something that you want to do. So if you could find something that pays less, but the time that you would normally need outside of work to do the things you want, if you could do that at work, then you don't need that extra money. You know what I mean? Because most of the fulfillment you have is in your work. Like for me, I do have some of that in my work. Obviously, I didn't dream of being, you know, like a water conditioning technician, but I do have the fulfillment of like physical the physical parts of my job, but also I love going in and solving puzzles. All day I'm solving. If I'm not doing like basic service work, I'm solving a puzzle. Whether it's like finding out where this wire is broken somewhere between the house underground and 500 feet in the ground.
Dang.
I love solving puzzles. So for me, it's like every little bit of it is like a little boost in my confidence when I figure something out, even on a small level. So like I get fulfillment as a man and as a human being in my job, even though it's something like that. And where when I'm done, I'm too tired to go spend the money. So I got, I'm good anyway.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Any thoughts on Olympic teams or anything like that? Adam had mentioned, I couldn't find it. Adam Meredith had mentioned something about some involvement with Olympic team. Did one of you guys get to train with them, or am I completely off base there?
No, yeah. So I made a cadet world team, which is like an age level team that gets sent to a different country to go wrestle other teams, and so I get to go to the Olympic Training Center and wrestle with that team plus the Olympic guys if they're there and stuff. So I've been there twice, and I think the Olympics are definitely a possibility to, like, depending on how the college goes. Like, obviously I don't want to do UFC, but I will do Olympics because I want to see how far I can take this sport that I've dedicated my whole life to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all depends on how much I want it and how much I want to work for it. But
So with the Olympic team, are you approached by that, or is that something you apply for?
it's something you have to go take and earn. It's like they have the qualifiers and stuff, so it's like you start once like you are serious about it. They because it's a 4-year cycle, so like you go and there's like Olympic qualifiers and there's like little tournaments. You got to go win that. That moves you up to a higher tournament. You got to go win that, and then finally do like the Olympic trial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how that somebody makes it on that team.
Yeah,
but that makes sense.
Yeah.
You got to fight it, fight for it, take it. If you want the crown, you got to take it, right?
No, for sure. That's sick, yeah.
That's awesome. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. Before we end this, though, I want to give you each an opportunity to share something that maybe we didn't talk about, or something you want to share for anybody listening, or just anything in general. The floor is yours. Either one. Whoever wants to go first.
I just talked last round. You got it.
I mean, not much. No, I mean, for me, coming into this podcast, I was like, man, I don't know how this is gonna go. I was never a big public speaker. I always like get nervous talking, having long conversations. But overall, I thought this was really fun, and
yeah,
I really appreciate you having us. And just overcoming another fear. So that was good.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really liked everything we had to say and everything we talked about, and yeah, that's kind of all I got. Just thank you.
No, I'm glad you came.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you having us here. Obviously there's some like subjects I kind of wanted to like get into more, but I'm kind of like holding back a little bit. Maybe we can save it for another time. But yeah,
you guys are always welcome back. By the way,
yeah,
seriously.
I appreciate that.
Sweet.
But just like I guess like the main like thing I want to like get out is like the whole adversity thing, because that's like a big thing in everyone's life. Is just like everyone's gonna have it. So me and Ryan, we've all dealt with it here at the table, and it just makes you a stronger person, stronger man, stronger human. And I mean, you just gotta work through it. So I just wanted to say that, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, those of you listening, you're gonna be listening. This is gonna come out in February. So because but Merry Christmas, Merry belated, Happy New Year, all that. But anyway, guys, seriously, thank you so much. For those of you listening, don't forget we are on YouTube and Rumble now, so please go over there. The subscriptions mean a lot. The subscriptions on YouTube, I know everybody on YouTube is pounding you for them, but it does mean a lot, specifically because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That is what brings us to the next level. I imagine it's probably going to take a few years, but that's only going to be through you guys spreading the word, sharing these videos and the clips we put up, and subscribing in general to help me be able to do that. And so anything I get for this podcast, from the advertising or anything like that, it just goes back into the content. It's not something I'm looking to pocket. It's something that I want to maybe get better camera gear, better audio gear, maybe get different guests on. So it does mean a lot, and I thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this point, and be well. See you.
See ya.
See ya.
Deep Fried Thoughts, it's the best podcast. Deep Fried Thoughts. Don't worry, we're working on a better intro.